Hey guys, this is Zenith Darksky here. I know it's been a while since I've given you guys some Back 4 Blood videos, but here we are, a few days before launch when I'm recording this. I got the deluxe edition, so of course I have early access. I've been putting together some deck builds for you guys, and the first deck build that we're actually going to go with is a melee deck build, mainly because that's the first one that I made for me, so hopefully, this might help some of you guys. Now, I do want to say a few things before we get into the actual deck build. These deck builds that I'm making are dependent on if you have a actual player team. I have run these on solo to gather some footage. I'll tell you right now, these are kind of hard to run on solo because they're kind of dependent on people being smart, like such as on Nightmare mode and Veteran. The AI will run in front of you, and if you're melee and you have amped up damage, that's just gonna hurt your teammates even more. So you want a competent team here, right? So first off, we're gonna get into melee here, and the very first thing that you want to start with, and this could be opinion depending on how you want to run your personal melee style, how you run your personal melee build, but generally at first we're running with the cross trainers. The first card in your deck will be the first card that you draw no matter what, every day, all day. So cross trainers first because it immediately will give you stamina and stamina regen, move speed, and health. Those stamina and stamina regen is going to be just extremely essential to the melee build. So of course that's what you want to run first with this build, is the cross trainers, just so that you can immediately get a boost in that. You could put something in there to boost melee immediately. I wouldn't blame you if you did batter up or health or anything like that. Speaking of batter up though, that's actually going to be our second perk here. We want batter up pretty quick because it's melee damage, 5 health. You want batter up pretty early because it's going to give you a lot more melee damage and health immediately. So obviously you want that. Spiky Bits is going to be next. We want Spiky Bits because it's 25% melee damage, 10% damage resistance while using a melee weapon, but it's going to cut down on your ammo capacity. I would run a shotgun or something secondary with it because of some cards you'll see later, but a melee weapon primarily, of your choice. Next on the list we have Mean Drunk. That's going to give us plus 75% melee damage, but it's going to disable sprint. Okay, so you're going to be moving and meleeing the whole time, but you're not going to be sprinting and meleeing, right? So this is why we're boosting damage so much, because without the damage, if we disabled sprint, then you're going to just get, swarmed, and you're not going to be able to output the damage that you need to, right? But this will also cause your melee attacks to cause cleave, which goes through enemies, dealing damage in a large area. So if you have a bat or a bigger weapon that you're swinging hard or swinging around, like an axe or a bat, that's generally going to hit more enemies around you, and that's going to help out a lot in the melee build because you'll be hitting more than one target. Next one is Battle Lust. Melee kills heal 2 health. You want that pretty early because you want to get that 2 health. I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but trust me, in Veteran Nightmare mode that's going to help a lot. Next one, we're going to have Heavy Hitter. Melee hits against weak spots deal 20 plus additional stumble damage. You want that because some of those big guys, you want to be able to potentially stumble them. It's going to be harder to do that, higher level, higher difficulties. But in the easier difficulties, this is for sure going to happen a lot more. And it's going to be nice because it'll stop hawkers and stuff like that from doing what they do. So that's almost a must here. Then next we have Energy Bar. Because Energy Bar is going to give us 20% stamina regeneration and 5% health. That, stamina regen, health is going to be great. Then we have Motorcycle Jacket as well to give us a little damage resistance and a little bit more health. You're almost a tanky build here. You're almost a tanky build mainly based on health. You're doing some stuff to gain a little health here. A lot of these have health. Next is going to be Slugger. It's going to give you 5% health, 10% melee stamina efficiency, 20% melee attack speed. You're going to hit faster, and it's going to take less stamina. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of these are, for the most part. Next, we're going to have Hyper Focused. Hyper Focused is going to do 50% weak spot damage, so it's going to help with the bigger mobs. And then 75% down on ADS move speed. Again, if you're running anything with this, maybe an SMG or shotgun, that's what you want to run. Because you shouldn't be ADSing with this build, generally. Because this, again, is dependent on a team. So maybe you have an actual gunner on your team that's not, just hip firing or whatever. Maybe you have somebody sniping or something, precision killing or this or that. They should be hitting those long distance targets while you are hitting the general horde, the general infected, right? Next, we're going to have Dash for just 5% more movement speed. I know a lot of people are like, why did you do that instead of some other melee damage things like Brazen? And the idea here is you have no sprint, so you want to be able to keep up a little bit. You're going to have teammates, especially if you're playing with randos, that are going to be moving, so you got to be able to keep up a little bit. So we've got some things here for movement speed. After Dash, we're going to go to Superior Cardio. Now, what is Superior Cardio going to do? It's going to give you 20% stamina, it's going to give you 20% sprint efficiency, and 5% health. Obviously, there's no sprint for us, if you've got the one card for us already, so it took your sprint away. But this is mainly for more stamina and more health. But it's also nice to have that sprint efficiency if you haven't used the no sprint card, or if maybe you substituted something like Brazen in instead for the sprint card. And if you do that, that's all great with me. Now, this next one's going to be kind of for everybody, and I'm running this build with Holly, and she already boosts stamina and stuff like that anyways, but we're going to run mandatory PT for some extra stamina for the whole team as well. We don't want you tanked up on stamina and like moving faster than everyone or sprinting faster if you don't have sprint turned off. So, we want everyone to be able to generally stay around each other, so that's just going to help the team. It's also nice for everybody in the team to just have a couple team effect cards, especially for the longer you play. Stimulants is going to be our second to last card. Pain meds you apply also grant move speed, reload speed, weapon swap speed for 30 seconds. This is just something I personally like because there's a lot of pain meds in the map, especially if you're running a support character in your team that is making more support items spawn too. So now when you get pain meds, or when you apply pain meds, you're getting movement speed to make up for that lack of stamina. Me personally, again, I don't run sprint. And then reload speed and weapon swap speed. I run a shotgun with my melee weapon. Me personally, if you want all melee weapon, there's some stuff you could, like Brazen and other stuff that you could really put in there for some of the weapon stuff. But either way, I run a shotgun with my melee weapon, so this helps that out as well. And then the last thing here is going to be Meth Head. Plus 40% melee attack speed, plus 40% melee stamina efficiency, and your melee attacks no longer stick in tough enemies. This is excellent, and you want this one pretty early, but it will disable aim down sights. And this is what I was talking about, where we're going to have no ADS anyways, so that one thing that slows down ADS isn't going to really hurt us so much, because we're not ADSing in the first place. So you just, if you get late game with all these cards and you have a bunch of the cards picked and all the cards potentially in your active cards, then the idea ultimately is you're meleeing super fast, you're doing a lot of damage with it, and if you need to switch to a shotgun or something like that, you can, and you have the health and some of the resistance to make up for the fact that you're going to take some damage, but you're also healing a little bit too, and you should be popping pain meds as much as possible for that stimulants to kick in if you are using a shotgun. Again, there are other cards that you could use to really help out instead for some of these things. Like there's extra stamina cards that you could use instead if you wanted to do that. There's Brazen. Like I said, Brazen's a really good one. That's why I keep going back to that. So that plus 5 damage resistance we have is actually going to get taken away with Brazen if you substitute that in, but it's going to give you attack speed and stamina efficiency again. So you could really be swinging that melee weapon out here. Either way, this is the general build. This is going to be your quicker melee type build. Obviously, maybe your playstyle is a little different than mine. All these decks are going to be built generally off the way I play each character. So That's obviously going to come into play here. So maybe, like I said, maybe you just want to run melee solely, no secondary weapon. I would recommend a secondary weapon because at higher difficulties and later in the game, you're going to run into zombies that are on fire or that explode when you hit them in the head, and you don't want that to be near you, right? You want a weapon for that. But I get it. If you want to just solely run melee, first of all, don't hit those guys in the head. Hit them in the body. But second of all, throw some other stuff in there instead. These deck builds are generic deck builds to help certain roles and certain ideas, but ultimately they're going to run best with your playstyle if you modify them slightly to match some of the stuff that you would run more. Also, I just want to encourage people to try their own deck builds out too. So maybe use mine to start, and then you could potentially later on move up from there. You know what I mean? You could tweak it and tweak it and tweak it until no longer it's my deck build. It's something that matches your playstyle perfectly, and that's fantastic. That's great. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps some of you melee guys out there, because it's certainly been really good for me, really good for my runs. If it did help you, be sure to hit that like button. If you have a general role that you would like me to make a deck build for here in the future, be sure to tell me in the comments. And if this did help you, or you have any ideas or tweaks for it, be sure to tell me in the comments down below. And I might do another deck build video around this kind of build as well, but tweak it here and there. Other than that, be sure you hit the sub button, guys, because over 90% of you guys aren't subbed, and it hurts my feelings. And share it around for your friends that are playing Back 4 Blood. Maybe you're sniping, but you want someone else to run melee. Make sure they get a hold of this and they're running melee. All right, guys, thank you so much, and let's clean up some Ridden.